My name is Spider, and this is the 27 Club podcast. Today, we will be talking more about When I Was a Kid, the first song off of Soul List, the second project on my portfolio of music, 27 Club. I finished this project at age 24, 2 years after graduating from the University of Virginia in 2014 with a degree in psychology. With this song, I discussed the change that happened to me after entering the corporate world and a longing to connect to a younger version of myself. I discussed the change that happened to me after I graduated and entered the corporate world, and a longing to connect to a younger version of myself, but the conflict that arises from this. Specifically around building a financial foundation and going after creative pursuits. I lost touch with my creative side and totally forgot about my dreams to become an artist, as these gifts were intermittently sacrificed for capital gained and a strong financial foundation. This conflict between artistic endeavors, dreams, and capital gain are an ever-present theme throughout 27 Club. It should be noted that although this project is after Life Changes So Fast, the first project on 27 Club, chronologically, I completed this project and song at age 24 as opposed to age 27, which is when I finished Life Changes So Fast, and as a result named the project 27 Club. Meaning that this project is playing in reverse as I self-psychoanalyze myself. As we go back in time, we begin to see the root of this conflict and peel back the layers of the fears and limiting mindset that I have in relation to possibilities and life options. The mental block primarily being that it's impossible to achieve financial independence from art. This is the journey I am choosing to struggle well with to eliminate this block and realize my true worth with creativity. I will be breaking down the production style, lyrics, and tell you more about how it all came together. In many ways, this is more than just music. It's my story, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you all. Let's start off with the production. Unlike 27 Club, which is comprised of carefully curated samples, Soul List is comprised of all original work. Since I speak so much about childhood on multiple tracks all throughout this project, I thought it would be fitting to make the project with equipment that I used from my childhood to make music, specifically a drum machine, keyboard, 8-track, and software program like Logic Pro. I made over 600 beats and songs on these devices, but the ones that I've selected are what I consider to be my best work that intertwined and flows together, telling my story. What I was essentially going for with this project 27 Club was to make a coming-of-age hip-hop story similar to the coming-of-age drama Boyhood, which came out in 2014 when I graduated from the University of Virginia. This movie was filmed over the course of 12 years with the same cast, and I wanted to do something similar that I could keep up with for the rest of my life, but in music form and more autobiographical. These songs are recorded over the course of 12 years as well, from about 15 with the first song Hero to 27 with the final project Life Changes So Fast. But the ones that I've selected are what I consider to be my best work that intertwined and flows together, telling my story. I couldn't think of a sound better to encapsulate the spirit of my youth on this project than the analog devices I worked with during my childhood. Taking it a step further with this childhood theme, some of the songs on this project are remakes of songs that I made when I was younger. I wanted to include these sonics as I try to reconnect with my youth, as in these 2 years out of school, I totally forgot and neglected this creative passion that I have and became a money-obsessed capitalist. It should also be noted that before I created this project, which is more of an honest account of losing and regaining my soul, I wanted this to be more of a musical, sort of like Hamilton. I scrapped the idea as it didn't turn out as I wanted, but I did end up keeping most of the production and rewrote the lyrics. There is one song that I kept untouched called Minor Detail. As a result, the production style resembles that of a musical, as there are reprises, throwback calls, and dramatic tones. One of the first themes that we're introduced to is the choir sound, which serves as a sort of religious undertone. This sound is heard all throughout songs on this project. The production style for this song and other songs on Solace is layered and minimalistic, but also dark with shimmers of light. I wanted the beats to sound as if I'm picking up steam, as if I had just had a thought or breakthrough that led to one idea and then to another, a cycle creating a train of thought. On this song specifically, we start off first with a very simple bass, and then move into other patterns created with my Zoom Streetbox 246 drum machine, which I got when I was 13. More patterns are layered on top of this bass, and as we reach the song's revelation or key question, which is really one of the project's key questions, which is, quote, "What's the salary for saving the world?" These patterns are then slowly stripped away. Since 27 Club is in essence a self-psychoanalysis, I wanted the production style of the song when I was a kid to sonically mirror the process of building myself up and breaking myself down. We see this style on other tracks on this project, but it was so important to do this on this song, as so much of the essence of this project is about remembering who I was when I was a kid, and what I wanted to be, and honoring it, accepting it, cultivating it, and taking care of it, which in turn means taking care of my soul. It's about taking care of my soul or gifts, as I neglected and forgot about them to pursue riches, as we soon find out on the next track, Solace. Lyrics. I start off the first verse by suggesting how much I've changed since my upbringing. When I was a kid, I used to live on the edge, get up out of bed so I could spin on my head. Now I'm out of bed and feel a kink in my neck, cause money makes my head spin. So I ask myself what I'm still in this for. It's a chore for no dollars, but sparking from an inner core. I've gotta shine, that's the lesson I've learned. Been tempted to let it die, can't be silent, I'm torn. I think I need a new job, maybe need to cool off. Been mechanical and cold lately. I plan to seek a new start, something more aligned with my soul. See, I've always believed the power of words. Knocked down, fell flat, struck by the weight of the world. One word, one chant, a story inside my head. One verse, one song, it fires me up again. I wanna give that inspiration, and with that give myself the gift of sharing. He who knows words has power to save the world, but I see compromised dollar signs tend to blur. Cause what's the salary for saving the world? If I choose words, how much does it really pay? And how many people come to a crossroads and ask the exact same thing? Doctors, lawyers, police captains, businessmen, artists, farmers, street activists. What's the salary for saving the world? Am I just soulless? I mentioned that when I was a kid, I used to be a breakdancer. As I discuss on the intro on Blackwell, on Life Changes So Fast, I have moved around a lot in my childhood. When my parents divorced when I was 5, we moved to Puerto Rico to be closer to family, but then moved to Florida after a very bad hurricane season in Puerto Rico, where a few very serious hurricanes hit the island. When we moved to Orlando with the rest of my family, I met with my cousins, who were kind of like older brothers to me from ages 7 to 12. They taught me how to breakdance, and that was one of the first times that I was immersed in hip-hop. I quickly joined their breakdancing crew as a young prodigy, as they were very talented breakdancers, and taught me how to breakdance. We entered breakdancing competitions, and one of my trademark moves was spinning on my head, or doing a head spin. I actually kept the name Spider as my creative pseudonym, as it was my breakdancing name growing up, as my footwork was so fast, it looked like I had 8 legs. But now I don't spin on my head anymore, as I infer in the lyrics, but my head spins around, alluding to the classic scene in the demonic horror film The Exorcist, where the actress Linda Blair spins her head around as a little girl possessed by a demon. This line suggests that money has created a sort of darkness or evil in me, in contrast to the childhood innocence of my youth. Although this obsession with money dominates me, I still find time to create for some reason, even though I'm not getting return on investment from a monetary standpoint. Here I am again, after making music for 14 years, as I started when I was 13, after receiving my first drum machine, which I used for the production, working on another project. Why? I don't make any money off of this. I haven't even gotten any recognition. From nearly every standpoint, my creative pursuits have been an epic failure. Because of these facts, I ask myself why I still even make music, and the response is that there's something inside me that needs to shine or share these stories. It's a need, and I found that if I don't tell these stories, it affects me emotionally, perhaps giving me the feeling of soullessness that I describe as I let these gifts lay dormant and become depressed. More specifically, between ages 20 and 24, the time when I first made In It for the Money, the third and final project on 27 Club, and Solace, I felt like I was losing myself. Something hit me in my second year in college. I looked around, recalling my poverty-stricken situation, which I'll go more into on In It for the Money, the third project on 27 Club, and for maybe the first time I asked myself, how the hell am I going to make money? I was so passionate about music, but I gave it up because I never made a dime, and I absolutely did not want to play the, quote, starving artist, unquote, role. Perhaps it wasn't the right time, but we will dive deeper into how exactly these mental blocks were formed. Despite this cold-blooded rationality, I disregard logic and still invest the energy required to make a work of art, perhaps because a part of me needs to tell these stories, although I've been tempted to let them die and maximize the sure thing, less risky career. I suggest that perhaps I need to change my profession. I work in tech sales in the Bay Area, and naturally, money and making more money is a constant daily theme. I infer that it may be time for a change, as in this process I feel like I've become an emotionless, inhuman money-making machine, and that I'm not aligned with my soul or creativity. I discuss my relationship with creativity and how in many moments throughout my life, more specifically the tough moments, I've been inspired by great creations and stories where characters persevere or are maybe facing similar life obstacles, whether it be real or symbolic. These stories have made me feel less alone and inspired me to keep going, which I value, and is a relationship that we sometimes take for granted, whether it be with film, music, books, or stand-up comedy. I want to pay it forward and use my gift and passions for the arts so that maybe others in similar situations will feel the same. I suggest that this creative craft, if perfected, can save the world, perhaps alluding to the power of words. There's this great Harry Potter quote that really sums up how I feel about the power of words. Dumbledore, almost an old sage in this book, tells Harry, the protagonist, in the final book of the series that words are, in my not-so-humble opinion, our most inexhaustible source of magic, capable of both inflicting injury and remedying it. I love that, as I believe it to be true, and a lot of my trauma has been created through the words that I tell myself, and this is my attempt to heal and maybe share and heal myself, and maybe even heal a listener as well going through similar struggles. I want to share my words and give myself this gift of having something worthy for others to share and enjoy and leave a mark. Assuming that this assumption is true and that words can save the world, I introduce the conflict, which is that talk is cheap and, in reality, words don't really pay. It takes a long time, if ever, to get ROI on a creative craft, if at all, perhaps again alluding to my mental block. I'm sick of people saying you can't profit off of art, and the journey I want to struggle well with is to prove them wrong. So in many ways, I'm throwing down the gauntlet with this song and this project, 27 Club. At this current point in time in the song, I am skeptical of whether words pay, and I wonder how many other people in the world make these types of life decisions based off of profit or financial gain. I even go as far as to ask, what is the salary for saving the world, which is alluded multiple times throughout the project, and a primary theme on the next track, Solace. The production style is stacking as I build myself up and break myself down during this psychological analysis, getting to the root of my conflict between the dream and reality, similar to the first track, Blackwell, on Life Changes So Fast. We also hear choir chords and responsibilities uttered in a final tone, which alludes to the sense of responsibility, as I feel like I must carry more than my share to support my family, a theme further discussed on the track Inheritance, which we discussed earlier. I feel responsible to make money and build a financial foundation, but with this, I neglect responsibilities of my soul or personal development, as this project is a memento to not get tunnel vision and nourish myself to grow. This soullessness in many ways comes from a sense of responsibility. Given that I have a family to support, I currently see this pursuit as unfeasible and not worth it, as I fear that I will be creating art from a place of weakness where I can't afford my bills and maybe have to make certain decisions, as opposed to a place of strength where I have a solid financial foundation and don't have to take it there. I'm happy to say that after 27 years, as I'm finishing this project, I am financially prepared and ready to take this pursuit more seriously. In conclusion, When I Was a Kid puts many of the themes and patterns we see from a production and lyrical standpoint throughout this project into motion, and it leads perfectly into the track Solace. Thanks so much for listening. You can follow me on Instagram and YouTube at SpiderTV.